right? So which is called crossing or multiplication. So there is a type of join called cross join. So that is basically happening for all types of join. Only thing is it enforces a condition. So it is filtering out on the cross join. So we have cross join also. So if you run that, it will take every entry of the first table and then it will match that with every entry of the second table. So it will be like, so in the first table I have 7 and in the second table I have 13. So it will be like 7 times 13. So that many records should be there in the result, right? So yeah, so those are all the join types in HANA and there are few
Ram,
more.
just one thing in the last cross join, if you just
Hmm?
if you remove the word cross join and just write comma there, just remove that cross join. Yeah, no, even the join word. Okay, and execute this line. Just execute this now. So
It
it
will
does
give the
execute.
same thing.
Yeah. So I was just checking whether cross join. I mean, this variant of cross join works in HANA or not. Okay.
Yeah, they have done this. And even I think they have the syntactic sugar of concatenation also. I think it works. No, it's throwing an error. Let's see. Yeah, even that works. Yeah. So some places, yes, they have implemented SQL properly. Some places they have weird syntax. Okay. So those are all the join types. And other than this, we will also want to know about unions, to combine result of two data sets or two tables. We want union. So we have one more file, which we will use for unions. So
And
if you
Ram, these
import
are the only joins supported, or there are any more like anti or semi join?
in HANA, there are many more types of joins, but these joins are enough for us to discuss the data sphere
Okay.
related things. Yeah, there are spatial joins, temporal joins, and all that. So yeah. Okay. So for understanding unions, we are going to create one more table called supplier because if you think about it, for a company, we'll have customers and then we'll have suppliers. But if you think of them as real world entities, even customers will have a company name, first name, email address, and even the suppliers will have the same thing. And if there is a company event or something, and then I want to send email to everyone who I'm doing business with, irrespective of the relationship, I might want to combine the data from both tables, right? So both tables have same structure or nearly same structure, and I want to pull out at least the result set that I'm trying to pull out has the same structure. Like I'm trying to pull out the name and email address from my suppliers, and then the name and email address from my customers to send out emails. That's all, right? So in that case, everything has first name, last name, and email. So, but they are in two different tables. How do I combine the result of both? That's where the union comes in. So join, you can think about join as adding more columns from two tables in the result, and union you can think about it like adding more rows to the result set, right? So you have rows from one table and then that is added to rows from another table, whereas in joins you have columns from one table and it is added with columns from another table, right? So that is a horizontal operation and this is a vertical operation. So now to understand unions, first let's create this supplier table. Yes, it got created and then let's insert some records into the supplier table. So now, okay, it's throwing an error. Okay, it's inserted and let's check the data once. So now we have 5 suppliers, right? And then we already have 7 customers. So if I union it, the 5 and 7. So I'm just saying union, right? So I'm saying select first name, last name, email from customers, select first name, last name, email from suppliers, and then union the two results, right? If I do that, so I can see here, uh, you know, 7 records because it eliminates all the duplicates. So if you just say union, it'll just keep one version of the record. If there are duplicates, it will remove it. But for some reason, you want to keep the duplicates, then you can do an operation called union all. That will not remove the duplicate. So if I do the same thing and then I put union all, and if I run it, now I will have 12 results because I'll have 5 from customers, sorry, 5 from suppliers, and then 7 from customers. Okay. So irrespective of whether they are duplicate or not. So that is basically the unions. Right? So these are the, I mean, this is at least the minimum SQL that you want to understand or brush up. I think most of you understand already. Just you want to brush up, or you want to, get used to the HANA syntax. Because I'm pretty good at SQL. I write MySQL and I write Postgres SQL, but still I struggle sometime in HANA because of the syntax. Right. So to get yourself comfortable, this should be enough. So these 4 files, uh, you can run them and then can get a brush up of the SQL in HANA. Right, and then we are going to see about SQL views, and we are going to continue on the graphical views in DataSphere. Maybe you can take 5-10 minutes to practice this SQL and to take a short break and go get some snack or coffee or something. And then let's continue with the next topic. Yeah, it's 8:55 now. Maybe till 9:05 you can practice this and take a small break. Yeah, I'm here only. So if you have any questions, yeah, go ahead and ask me. So one more thing I will show you, which is using ChatGPT. So many of you might already be using it, and maybe for SQL, it's a good tool. It will generate SQL very well, but again, it also doesn't understand HANA that well, right? So sometimes it can make mistake. But if you specify exactly that you want what you want clearly, and you specify that you are doing it on SAP HANA, 99% of the time it will get it right. Right. So I'll give a simple prompt where I would say I'm learning SAP HANA. Right. Please join. Just create an employee and department table. Or I will even say give me SQL to create an employee and department table, and then give me insert statements to populate them. Finally, give me select statements for the various joins that are supported in HANA. Right, so it will give you blocks of statements like this, and then you can use it. So yeah, it pretty much it also gave the insert. I was thinking that we'll give it in multiple lines, but yeah, it pretty much gave it in a single line. So that's good. So yeah, so this way, like if you are having a very specific problem, right? So if you are going to create a SQL view and you want to join, say, the 3 or 4 tables, sometimes people are very good at joining one table, but then they get very intimidated when they want to join 3 or 4 tables, right? So at that point, what you can do is you can just ask, ChatGPT or any chatbot. You can give the structure of all the tables, and then you can give what you want to do, and basically it will generate the SQL for you. And sometimes people get scared about subqueries or nested queries, right? So when you have select within a select, things like that, people are not very comfortable in writing. So for all those challenges, you can come to the chat GPT. Only thing you have to do is you have to explain it very clearly, and you have to put, the product. And sometimes it's even better if you include the version also. So you can say in SAP HANA 2.2, uh, it will give you even better syntax then. So be elaborate on your prompt and ask what you need, and most of the times it will get it right. But yeah, sometimes there will be errors, and again you can come back and post the error and it will correct it, or you can go to the traditional route of posting it in forums or searching for the error in the Google, and you can solve it. So now I would say you don't have to worry about SQL too much. Previously I used to recommend W3 schools or some sites where you can go and learn SQL, right? Because you are working in data warehouse and it's good to know SQL like that. But now I would say, yeah, I mean, yeah, if you want, still you can go to W3 schools and you can go through the SQL tutorial. At least here you can give, try it yourself and try it. But I would say, yeah, now it is not mandatory or even good to have skill. Now everything, GPT can do. It's up to you. So you want to learn how to get queries from GPT, or if you want to still follow the classic rule, go and learn SQL. Yeah, any comments or any suggestions from people like on using the GPT or any better way to do this? Okay, any questions on the database explorer connecting it? Anyone having any issues? Can you guys hear me? Or did I lose my audio?
No, no, no. We can hear you. The thing is, like, better we practice after session so that we can cover most of the topics. Yeah.
Okay, fine. Yeah. Okay, then. I'll start the next topic. Maybe, yeah, I mean, let's wait for 3 more minutes. Maybe if someone went on a break, thinking that I'll only start at 9:05. So this time, let's wait for them to come back. Okay, so when you right click on your, the connection to the database, you have this thing called statement library, and there you will have code snippets basically to do several things in HANA. Like this is given by SAP, right? So if you want to check some statistics, or if you are from a HANA background, you will know that already if you are a HANA administrator. But yeah, so here it gives some description of what it is, the memory consumption, and so on, right? And then you can basically just double click, or you can select and then say open it in a SQL console, and then it will open that particular code snippet, right, in a SQL console, and you can run it. So that way, yeah. So this is a basic version check. So if someone asks you which version of HANA you are using, so yeah, say particular version of, okay, the HANA Cloud version is 28, 2024.28. Right. So like this, there are code snippets for many things. So all you have to do is right click and say show statement library. And you'll find it. And even you can save like all these SQLs. So for example, this entire SQL, if I think I'm going to use it again and again, I can just say save, and then that will also get added to the statement library.
But insert values, right? Insert values, you have to write insert into table multiple times. Like uh, insert into is the right line number 27.
Mm-hmm.
You just copy paste that, and then you have to enter again. Like that should be repeated for multiple values to insert.
Like this.
Yes, yes.
It's a single insert statement, right? So multi-statement is
Yeah,
not supported.
of course, single. Yeah, correct.
Okay. You know, I think I don't know if they have fixed it now. The first time, I was trying HANA, what happened is I was having an insert statement with all double quotes, right? I didn't know that HANA distinguish between single quotes and double quotes, and it doesn't support double quotes. So I was trying to insert it, and it was giving me some error. It, so it's invalid
most of the
column.
cases SAP we don't use double quotes.
Yeah. So for this, I was breaking my head for a long time. That's why the hatred for HANA SQL begin within me.
Because we are into SAP, so no other option. HANA is the only option now.
Yeah, correct. And more products are now also not even HANA, it's HANA Cloud now.
Yeah, almost both the same only. Only difference is hosted on virtually and on premise. That's it. Nothing much difference in both.
No, but if you talk to the people, right, who are using it extremely, they are saying that HANA Cloud, it has a lot of constraints when compared to HANA.
Not matured enough like on-premise tools for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
In the same case with even S4 also. S4 on-prem has lot you can say benefit than the S4 cloud. So it's at to be, mature like an on-premise product. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so let's get started on the next topic. So, yeah, let's come out of the Database Explorer and SQL console, and then let's continue on with our, data builder. Okay, so the next topic we have is, the graphical views will continue, and then we'll also, I think, yeah, we'll have some time, or if not, we'll not rush it. We'll see the SQL view next time. But yeah, coming back to the graphical view topic, right? So yesterday we were working on a graphical view, I guess. So let me try to open it. If not, we'll create a new one. This is the one, business partner.
Can you create a new one?
Okay, sure. Yeah. Okay, so we have some table. Yeah, so we have a sales order table, right? So let's see if there is data in the table. No data. So let me see if we can load some data here. You know what? Let me create a different. Let me see if there is data in a different table.
Hi everyone, this is Ankit.
Yeah, Ankit.
One quick thing. So, guys, one of the Google Doc where Ram is creating notes is not accessible to you, all right? So, it is really not accessible to you because every day after the recording, day wise, I'm uploading the PDF in portal. So please refer it from there. It is for between me and Ram purpose. You don't need access to this. Okay. If you remember, go and check in portal. I have already uploaded day 2. Day 3 also I'll upload as soon it is ready after the session. I hope you all are synced with me. Okay. So Ram, it is for me and you. Okay. I will.
Okay, I created the confusion. I shared the link basically, so they all started requesting access.
Okay, fine. That's all. Thank you so much. Go ahead, please.
Thank you. Okay. So yeah, in this table we have data. So let's create a view out of this table. So I'm creating again a graphical view. So I'll drag my table name from there to the canvas, and then it creates a view. And by default, it takes all the columns. So there are 17 columns. The view has 17 columns. So I can give a name for this view. I'll say that BP business partner view. Okay, and then the type, let's keep it fact, and then expose for consumption also I'll do. And the moment I do that, the thing is, if I create something as a fact, then I have to put measure, at least one measure. So I don't think a business partner is actually a fact. So let me again, I can create a dummy measure, but I don't want to teach you wrong things. So I'll again put it back to relational dataset itself, where it doesn't care about, it for relational dataset, it's all columns. It doesn't differentiate between attributes and measure. Okay. So now we have a view like this. So I can go ahead, I can deploy the view, and that will deploy it. And yesterday also we saw, deploying a view and then what is persistence and everything. But today I want to show some different aspects to the view and even to the table, which we did not discuss yesterday, and which SAP is saying that it's very important to do those things. So let's see some of them. So one is, so when you go to the data preview, right? So one thing is you can see the SQL that is getting generated, right? So we basically took a table and then created a view. So basically it will be a very plain select statement, right? So if I go here and if I say preview SQL, then you see this is the exact SQL it is running. So it's nothing but it is selecting all the columns from that table. It is giving an alias basically for the table, because if you drag and drop multiple times, then it needs to differentiate between them. So it is creating aliases, right? So in this view, let me just undo it a couple of times. Right. So in this view, this SQL generated is very simple. It is just a select statement. Now there are multiple things. So if you click the table, there are multiple options that are appearing here. So we'll see some of these options now, and then let's see how that is, getting reflected in the SQL. So for example, I don't want to select maybe all my columns. Maybe I want to include only few columns. Then I can go to this thing that says rename or exclude columns, right? That operation. So in that operation, I can see that, okay, so it has all the 17 columns. Maybe partner ID, I just want to call it, ID. So I have renamed it. And then maybe partner role, I want to exclude. And then the email address also, I want to exclude. Phone number also, I want to exclude. Fax also, I want to exclude. So I have excluded some 4 columns, right? So now you see this number, it has 17 columns, whereas this has only 13 columns. Now let's see how the SQL looks like, right? So now what operation do you think it would have done? It again the same select, but this time in the select query, less columns. Yes. And for the rename that we did, it will have a alias, right? As and ID, right? So basically when we are going to do the SQL views, you don't have to be intimidated. Whatever you are doing in graphical view only, you can also do in SQL view. You can do more actually. In SQL view, you can do a lot of things. In graphical view, whatever we are doing graphically, the system is generating the SQL for you. So now I did this operation, which is nothing but I have given excludes. So the system is just including the remaining columns. And when I rename something, it is giving an alias. Okay. So that is this operation. Then we have another operation called calculated columns, right? Let's see the calculated column. So now in the calculated column, so I have to click that. It has to load. Okay. So now I have calculated column 1. So now what type of operation do you think will happen in the SQL? So I'll create a calculation. I'll just say 1. So I have an extra column where the value will be 1, right? So I can see that already it has become 14 columns. So what do you think will happen in the SQL?
I mean, it will add an extra column, right? Calculated column.
Put the column with default value 1 maybe. Yeah, as 1. Yeah.
Yes. So everything that we do there is basically something like this. So even if you want to do some HANA functions, right? So the calculated column, the best thing is not this thing. So you have to do, for example, if I want to convert the case of the business partner name or something, right? So let's take a column that's visible. So company name. So if I want to do the above lowercase of the company name, respond and then yeah. Okay, so now let's check that. And now if I go into the SQL, it will be the same thing, right? So it will in the SQL also it will look like lowercase brackets company name as maybe some values, right? So above lower business partner 2, that's the entire
Table dot field name. Yeah.
yeah, table dot field name as the calculated measure name. The calculated column name. So I have not renamed the column, so it is still getting called calculated 1. I can rename it. So in the calculated measure. So here, if I instead of calculated 1, if I say our company name or something like that. So this name again, it will appear in the SQL view. So every time if you want to see like how the SQL is to get yourself comfortable with writing SQL, this is one of the ways. And this SQL is executable. So if you take the SQL and then try to create a SQL view out of it, it will work. The only thing is it will look weird basically. So humans generally will not write SQL like this. We will not put always the table name dot and then we'll not give a table a weird alias like this and all. So it will look weird, but it will work. So let's see the other operands that are in the graphical view. So we have seen calculation. The next we have is the aggregation. So already we saw while discussing, the select statement, we have a aggregation function like sum, and then we have a group by class, right? So same way here also we have aggregation. So again, to aggregate, you need some numeric values. So maybe created by, I will use that. I shouldn't, but I'll use that as. So you see all the numeric values, it says none. So it means, so all the, how I am saying all that are numeric is by the icons. So these are all numeric values and these are all string values. And numeric can be anything. So we saw a lot of numeric HANA data types. I hope you went home and checked that. So there is tiny int, small int, integer, float, decimal, etc. So irrespective of that, to analytics system, it is either numbers or alphanumeric, right? So in that way, it is picking the numeric columns and then it is showing none. And here I can say, if I want certain column, for example, created by, I want to change the aggregation type. I can say, okay, I want to make a sum for the created by. Then I can give it like this. And then now what do you think will happen to the SQL statement? Anyone?
Yeah, it will create some of that column and then group by it will put that.
Group by
the
what it will
fields.
put?
Should be all fields right now.
Yes, exactly. You put all the 14 fields in the group by and have a very
all the dimension columns you need to keep in group by.
Yes, exactly. So all that, so it generated such a big SQL. And then if you see carefully, it is having that as a inner select statement, and then in the outer select, it is picking again, the only the required columns. So yeah, so it like this, when you add each operations the first time, at least when you are doing it, I would say go ahead and see like each operation what it is doing to the SQL, so that you get a connect between what happens graphically and what happens in the SQL. Right? Okay, so that is aggregation, and then we have join suggestions will come later, data viewer, lineage. That's all. So okay, we have filters. So filters is nothing but your var class, right? So again, you can write some filter. So let me check, maybe partner ID. Yeah, partner ID is unique. Even partner role is unique. No, it is same. Okay, so let me give maybe.
Use company name maybe.
Yeah, I think the legal form.
Legal
Maybe
form,
I'll
yeah,
only
that is okay.
filter the Inc. or limited. Okay, so filter. So in filters, if you go and give, the column names, so legal form, and when you say equals, and you can insert values actually directly. So instead of you having to type the values, so it will list all the values. So only thing you have to do
Something
is
is good in HANA then compared to SQL.
okay, yeah. So it will list all the values, so you can use that way. Why I'm saying this specifically is because I see that people trying to refer it and type it and all that, you will make mistake, and it's difficult also. So they have created this feature for you, so you can use that feature, insert value. Okay,
So
now we
Ram,
have
one
insert.
thing here, can we also do, let's say, I'll create a use case here. So let's say my LTD value is, let's say, in uppercase and lowercase both due to data
Mhm,
integrity issues, let's say. So can
mhm.
I, just to get rid of that error, can I say upper of legal form is equal to LTD, so that it will first convert
Yeah,
even,
yeah,
is
Yes,
it
yep,
yes.
possible
correct.
to?
You have a lot of
Yes,
predefined functions in HANA.
you have all the HANA functions actually here.
No, no, that I'm aware. I was just asking where in the where clause I can both combine the calculated and the field value
Yes,
together.
yes, you can.
Okay.
That's why the functions are available here. So whichever operand supports functions only, it will show the functions. So for example, in aggregation, it doesn't support, so it will not show.
Okay.
Okay, so now this filter would have introduced, like, I don't have to tell you, most of you will already know, a var condition. So if I go there, so we have a var condition where it says, the legal form equal to limited. Right? So this is basically the graphical view and all the different operations. So we have, the projection, we have the calculation, we have the aggregation, and we have the filter. Right. So these are the operations that are there in the graphical view. And yeah, you have to go and explore because there are a lot of HANA functions, and you have to come up with this type of, the cleverness should be within you, or you should see a lot of examples and blogs and everything, because like he said, sometimes it can be, there is data quality issue or something, and then you have to match cases and so on. So that's where you have to use your cleverness or intuitiveness, and then see that okay, there is a HANA function like this, and then there is a value like this, maybe I should use this to get my desired results, right? So go ahead and try all these operands out and try different values there. So we will be covering uh, another scenario where we'll do from modeling till the analysis, where we'll be going and making some good examples. Now I am just introducing you to the bits and pieces for you to understand all the technical aspects of it, and then we'll piece it all together. But it's a right time for you also to go ahead, read documentation and then practice things and so on. So this is a good introduction to the graphical view, right? So this is what a graphical view is, right? There are two other aspects, important aspects of graphical view. So we'll see them later. So one aspect is including data from multiple sources. So I have one table and that is becoming a view, right? So ideally I will want another table also. So when I drag another table or view on top of my existing thing, it gives me three options. So union, join, or replace, right? So we'll see that later. So we'll do examples of joins and unions. And replace is nothing but if I don't want this source, I want it replaced by another source, I can just drag and drop. So when dropping, yeah, this is again, some people find this also a little bit weird, right? So when you drop, you have to actually drop it on one of these operations. Then only that operation is picked up. So that screen froze. That's why it came out. Yeah, it's still stuck. Even after refresh, if it is there, then I'm done. It's gone. Okay, so if I have, for example, this business partner, and then I realize, okay, I put the wrong business partner, I want this partner actually, then I can drag. Instead of dropping, first I hover over it, and then these three options appear. With the same mouse, I have to put it on the right operation, right? So it's not like you drop and then you use some keyboard or something to choose it. So it should be like you drop on the right place. So if I'm dropping it on the replace, it is asking me, okay, here there are 17 columns. I have found some matches, so I am mapping them to that. Do you want any other thing? So these are all I think we did yesterday in the transformation, so that's okay. So I'll just say replace. Yes, that's one operation. But the joins and unions we already discussed in the SQL, but we will do that with examples in the next session. Right. So that's one thing we have pending in the graphical view. And the other important aspect is, so every time when we are building a view, we are clicking this button, right? And then say expose for consumption. So what is that basically? Right. So if I deploy, let me first deploy it. So now if I deploy it, what is happening is, uh, you know, it is generating a view in the database level that we all understand and agree, right? So if I click deploy button, yes, there is some database level operation happening. And even you can verify now. Now you know how to connect to the backend. So you can verify and see that, yes, without deploy, nothing is happening. After deploy, yes, things are getting created. But when you click expose for consumption, what is happening is it is exposing, and for example, if it is an analytic data set or it is a fact, it is also going to create some structures like the star schema in the database level, and also it is going to create the OData component, right? So here there is a generate OData is there. So when I expose, that becomes enabled, right? And then we have a OData link. So this aspect also we'll discuss about the graphical view, because this is very useful to connect, SAP Analytics Cloud or any other tool that can consume OData services. So this also we'll look in detail, right? So except that two aspects, graphical view technically, yeah, this is what a graphical view is, and these are the various important aspects of it, and this is where you can go and check the SQL of the graphical view. So any questions on this? Okay.
So Ram, just simple query. If we have multiple views lined up, like daisy chain of views,
Mhm.
generally you will do expose for consumption on the last view, right? I mean,
Yes.
okay.
So yeah, intermediate view also could be exposed for consumption, and sometimes I see there is an option in space where it says expose everything for consumption, and sometimes yeah, people know what they are doing and do it, and sometimes they just, when creating the space itself, they give that option. So in that way everything will be exposed. Yeah, but most of the times what you said is right. So if there are so many objects, tables and views leading to, it will always lead in graphical view, all of them will always lead to
Analytical
one
model
view.
at the end.
Yeah,
Yeah.
at one view, and that could be it could be analytic model, it could be fact, it could be analytic data set, it could be anything semantically. But yeah, it should all come and converge in one point. And ideally, yes, it should be analytic model or a fact, and then only that needs to be exposed for consumption. And that sometimes, for planning and all, we will want two-way communication. From Datasphere, we want to be able to read in SAC also, and from SAC, we want to write back to Datasphere also. So that type of two-way communication also is required and all that. So there are many aspects to the OData service. So we'll discuss that in somewhat detail. So now let's go to the most feared SQL view. I don't know why people hate it, but yeah, I have seen many of them. They find the hardest aspect of Datasphere is the SQL view. I think at least now with the introduction of ChatGPT and everything, that should not be the case anymore. So yeah, so I came copying the SQL from the graphical view so that it's kind of less intimidating. So I have put a very big select statement, right? And then that's all is required. So here it gives you somewhat similar to SQL console, but SQL console has different things. It has the statement library, it has in the side panel, it has all the help, keyword help and everything. Here you will not have a lot of the database explorer features. So I would say if you want to test your query, keep the database explorer open and then test the query there, do your diggings there because it's easier, it's more robust compared to this. Or you can keep your any of your favorite, HANA SQL IDEs. So there are many, like SAP, there are some, but non-SAP, there are few. So you can keep any of that. You can write the query there, or you can generate from SQL, this HANA, the ChatGPT, and then you can put it here. But end of the day, here there should be a query, right? So once you have the query, there should not be any errors in the query. So when you click validate SQL, it should not give any errors. And then if you want, you can click format and then it aligns and make the keywords capital and everything. And then everything is similar to the graphical view. So whatever you do in the side panel, I can give a view name. I can say view 1. And the other important aspect is there are two languages or two types of SQL views. So one is the standard SQL view, which we are going to work now today. The other is SQL script. So anyone know what is the difference between SQL and SQL script?
Yeah, the SQL script will give you loopings and other functions which
Yes.
normal SQL will not give.
Yes. So SQL is your database language, right? It's not a full-fledged programming language. So sometimes you might want to do some full-fledged programming, right? So you want to check some conditions, you want to do some looping, etc. You may want to open a cursor. Some things like on top of SQL, you want to add some more programming functionality. The closest thing you can do is SQL script. So they don't have Python or Java or anything while creating a view, right? So if you want to have some robust logic, then the next best thing you can do is SQL script. So for this also, we'll see some examples, and then we'll see some of the HANA, what functionalities that HANA provide. And again, this is not full-fledged HANA course, so I'll not go into greater details. And again, I'm not an expert in that SQL scripting also, so I'll just give you a good introduction of the feature, and then I'll point you to the docs. If you are interested, you can learn about it. But whatever minimum is required, yeah, we will cover that. So now we will use the standard query language, and then that's it. So I can. Any questions?
So can we also schedule this SQL views the way we have scheduled graphical view?
Yeah, we can. So even that's what I was trying to say. So the only difference is in the central screen, right? So where we define it graphically or with SQL, everything in the properties, right? So whatever we saw yesterday, it should be the same. Even the graphical view is technically a SQL view only. The only thing is the system is generating the SQL for us. So there is no difference in the properties in this screen.
Ram, in what scenarios do we need to go to SQL view when everything can be done in a graphical view?
No, everything cannot be done in a graphical view. I mean, for example, like I said, the conditionals and all, it's very hard to do in a graphical view. And even sometimes, the logic that you are thinking in your head, right? So the people who are very good at SQL, they think in queries and subqueries, right? So it's easy for them to write subqueries than dragging and dropping different things. So what happens is sometimes you might want to use the same table again and again to get different results. So that's very difficult to do in. It's not difficult. It looks very like a noodles in a graphical view. So that's one thing, and the other thing is the quickness and easiness, and the other thing is like it's the comfort of people. Some who are from a more traditional database background, they prefer, they think it's easier to write a SQL, whereas some are the business users, they will feel much comfortable in using graphical view. And when you compare limitations, yes, always GUI will have limitations compared to direct scripting. So because all script functionality will not be exposed as a graphical thing. So yes, you can do more in SQL. But is that the reason for going for the SQL? Not always. Mostly the reason will be the comfort of the user. So most of them are comfortable with graphical, they'll create in graphical. Some of them who are very comfortable in SQL, they'll create in SQL.
Will it have any performance impact, performance benefits for a graphical or a SQL?
Yes, but here's the deal. So if you know what you are doing and if you write very optimized queries, then yes, in SQL view, you can control the SQL. But other than that, see, out of box, a graphical view, again, I'm saying, is nothing but a SQL view. Only thing is you are not writing the SQL, the system is writing the SQL. And that has both plus and minus. The plus is already it is somewhat optimized because it is done by SAP. So it is somewhat optimized and they are writing good. We are assuming that they are writing good SQL code. So it is somewhat optimized. Whereas in a SQL view, anyone can write SQL. So if you write a very bad SQL, it's going to have performance problems. But if you think the other aspect of it, if you are a very good expert in HANA and if you know how to use hint, index and everything and write a very efficient SQL, then maybe you can write even better performance SQL than the one that is generated by the graphical view. So with that, I mean, out of box, there is no, if someone asks an interview question like whether a graphical view or SQL view is better, there is no out of box performance difference. It's basically the way in which we can write SQL. Can we write better SQL than SAP? Then yes. If we think no, our SQL might go bad, then graphical is better like that. So end of the day, one point I want all of you to remember is that graphical view we see there is just a design tool, right? After you design it, the system is converting that into SQL only. So that is also a SQL view you are creating graphically. That's all.
Okay. So my understanding I got is like if you want to get a good business scenarios to be addressed, then SQL might be the good option to if you have a complex scenarios. That's it, right?
Yes, if you think, I mean, so if you are very comfortable in SQL, you can go for SQL view. Or if you think you have reached the bottleneck of the graphical view, you want certain operation to be done, but it is not, you are not able to do that operation in graphical view, then yes, you will be forced to go to SQL view. Yeah, but out of box, I think like in at least the projects I worked on, whatever we wanted to do, most of the time we were able to do in the graphical view itself.
I
Okay.
mean, when we had asked this question to SAP, they said try to do everything in graphical, and the reason is because it generates an optimized SQL at the backend. But they also said you should use either a mixed or specifically SQL if you have something like window function requirement, and again it will be a SQL script there,
Yeah.
and not the normal SQL. So if you have anything like window function of SQL requirement where you want to look some value or do a logic based something, then graphical view will not work. So then in that case, you can use the SQL option.
Yeah.
Can you do mix here? Some of graphical view and get the SQL
Yes.
code in the middle, and then you can do again graphical.
No, not
Yeah,
that
you
way.
can. No, you can have any layers of view, but that's not what he meant as mixed. So,
Yeah, what I meant is, I will
Yeah.
just clarify that part. So it's not like you can do half of the view as on one view. You cannot do half as some column as graphical and then the remaining column as SQL. It should be like you can layer the view, one SQL view, one graphical view, and then mix and match. That is the hybrid approach I meant.
Yeah, I got it. Maybe one view you have created in SQL view complex scenarios, and then you can join that view in the middle to the another view. Am I correct?
That's correct. Yes.
Okay, thank you, Ram. Yep.
it was not me. You should thank. Can you please state your name? Whoever was-
Nikhil.
Nikhil. Yeah.
Thanks, Nikhil.
Yeah. So that's the perspective. That's how you should share your knowledge also. And yes, that's also the perspective I have about the views. So graphical view is again nothing but a SQL view. And for most of the scenario, you can do with graphical view itself. And most of the time, you cannot write optimized SQL than SAP. So it is good to use graphical view because it generates SQL that is designed by SAP, right? But some of the times you are able to write, better SQL than SAP. Sometimes, if you are using multiple aggregations functions and it is generating a very bad SAP, by very bad SQL that you can say by looking at it itself, then yes, you can go ahead and you can write a better code. Or sometimes now what you can do is you can copy that graphical view code and put it into ChatGPT and say, can we optimize this further? And if ChatGPT is giving a very big list of suggestions, then that means yes, there is a very big scope for optimization. And then you can copy the optimized code from ChatGPT and put it inside a SQL view. So that these are the things where I am expecting SAP to put AI directly into DataSphere, so that you don't have to, sometimes when you're working in customer scenarios, you cannot copy everything, paste in ChatGPT and ask for it, right? Because it could be sensitive information. So that's why I want SAP to put the AI inside DataSphere itself, so that in here, I should not be writing SQL. I should be saying instructions. I should say, you have to create this, that, and then it generates the SQL.
In SAC,
So-
they are saying it, Ram. It will be coming with Joule integration, where at least
Yeah,
in
SAC,
recent tech.
I have seen the preview also, beta preview.
Yeah.
In that,
In
in the
TechEd,
story
they
2
showed
and
it.
all, in the
Yeah.
story 2 and all, you can generate the what you call that?
JavaScript.
Scripts.
Yeah.
Scripts, yes.
Yes.
So here also I'm expecting the same. So once it is there, I think then SAP will switch their recommendation. They'll say now everyone go for only SQL view. But for now they are saying go for graphical view. And with that said, that other important point what what Nikhil said is also true. So no one is stopping you from having both the views in your list of in your layer for reporting, right? So for example, I am able to do 90% of the things in graphical view. Just one particular functionality, I want to do some lookup or I want to do something that is missing in the graphical view. Then what I can ideally do is I can do the 90% as a graphical view, keep that as the source, and then in that I can create, on top of that I can create my SQL view, right? So here instead of selecting from table, I'll just select from my intermediate view. The other way around is also possible. So if I want to do the lookup first, I can create first a SQL view, and then in my graphical view I can use that, and then I can combine it. So we can chain it, and we can do a mixed model. But the recommendation as of now from SAP is, unless you are pretty sure that you can write very good SQL, go for a graphical view for the performance aspects. But out of box, if it's a tricky interview question, people can ask, is graphical better or SQL better? It's graphical is also a SQL view. The question then is like, is SAP's SQL better or is my SQL better? Then the answer is
Actually, even if you consider HANA perspective, SAP recommends to go with graphical only. Okay. Script is required because graphical doesn't support all the functions like SQL functions. Like example is window functions or complex calculations like loops and all. So in such cases, you have to go with scripting. Otherwise, you have to go with graphical.
Graphical only. Yes. Okay. So now that is about, the
Ram, do we have a rank function node available in the view or
Yeah, that works with the scripting.
works with scripting? But I was checking in graphical view. Have they given the rank node?
No,
Because
no,
in
no.
HANA
It won't
Studio
work
they used to
in
give.
graphical.
graphical only. These, I think, are the only options. I don't think any other.
It comes with Windows function, right? Windows function works with scripting only. Rank, even.
No. He is saying about the graphical HANA views. So there, he's saying that they give.
Yeah, that's what it
here.
doesn't work. Graphical
Okay.
view, it doesn't work. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So now let's go to. So as we have 15 minutes more, so let's do one more thing, which is, getting data from a connection, right? So let me show you how to create a connection, and then let's get a data from a connection. And it's a very simple connection, so it will not take a long time. So we have other connections also. So I think we have BW connection, S4 connection, and so on already, right? And we will now create a very simple connection to a public OData service. So there is something called as Northwind OData, right? So which is a public OData service. So if I go here without any username or password, I can see all the data because it is there for learning and development purpose. So we can copy this and we can create a connection to that. But there are different aspects of creating connection. One is that DataSphere should trust this site because it uses HTTPS protocol, right? So HTTPS means there is a certification authority that is saying that it is a trustable site or it is the site that it says it is, right? So my browser trusts this site because it has one of that certification, authority or one of the certification link in my chain, right? So there are a lot of people who are saying that, okay, I certify this guy and then that guy certifies another guy, etc. So see, there is a lot of people. Digi certificate is the root level certificate. After that, Azure. After that, that OData org. So my browser trusts either the DigiCert or the Azure. At some level, it is having a trust. So it is saying that yes, this is HTTPS. I agree. But if you go to some sites, you would have seen that it will show a warning and it will show the HTTPS as striked. It will say that I cannot verify that site, and then you will click advanced and then say go anyway, right? So that is the situation where your certificate is not being trusted. The same will happen in Datasphere also. Like when you try to connect to some service or some site or some API, there are different levels of trust that you need to establish. So you sometimes you have to allow or whitelist certain IP addresses. Sometimes you have to include certain certifications. You have to download the certificate and upload to Datasphere saying, okay, this is a trusted certificate. Sometimes you have to create OAuth or some type of authentication and you have to put the client information there, etc. Right? So we'll cover some of these connection types and we'll understand how to do certain things. So for example, we'll try to connect to this OData service. So I'm going to my space and then I'm going to connections. So I'm clicking a new connection. I say create connection. And here is a list of all the connections that are supported out of box by Datasphere, right? So we have ABAP system, we have cloud integration, we have HANA, etc. Now we are interested in OData type. So I see that generic OData is there. So I select that. So then it asks for the URL, which I copied. So I have put it, and the URL itself, it says version 4. So I am leaving it at version 4. OData, generally there are 3 versions. So version 2, version 3, and version 4. Somehow SAP in any of its products are not supporting version 3. And version 3 is not that popular also in the OData community. So either it's OData version 2 or version 4 is supported. If you want to test the version 2, what you have to do is in this OData service, instead of V4, you can change the URL to V2. And this is the version 2 of it. You can copy this URL. And if you, for some reason, you want to go back to version 2, you can put that URL and select that version. Other than that, for connecting to this OData, we don't want cloud connector because it is not on premise. It is already on the cloud. It is accessible in my browser. So I can leave it. And authentication, as we saw, as I opened the site, it didn't ask me any username or password or anything. So I'm saying no authentication. So the only thing I gave here is just the URL. Right? Other things I left it as default. The authentication I changed to no authentication. And I say next step. And here it is asking me, do you want to have any custom HTTP address? So generally, while calling the OData, you can pass some HTTP header because some of the OData sometimes they want to have certain headers to be present in the OData request, or else the request will fail. If that is the case, that OData provider will itself specify, okay, so in this OData, if you have to use maybe allow cross origin or something is the header, and then the value should be like true or something, right? That will be specified in your source documentation, and you have to, if you have to add a header values, then here you can add the header values. In this case, again, we don't want to do any special headers, so I can give a connection a name. I'm just calling it Northwind, and that's it. I'm going to create connection. So right here it says connection Northwind created successfully. That doesn't mean that connection will work, right? So I have to check the connection. So I can click and then say validate. So if it says here, connection Northwind is valid, but not all features are available, that's fine. So here it's explaining why. Could not establish a secure connection because the server certificate could not be validated. And then it's giving an instruction on what to do. Please upload the certificate of the server or the certificate of the signing authority. If you are not authorized, please contact your administrator. We are all administrators, so we are all authorized. So let's see how to get these certificates and how to upload them.
Just one question before to that. I think you have directly mentioned the Northwind service URL, right?
Mhm.
But in real time, basically, it has different URLs for dev, production, and test. Okay, the source systems. So how can we dynamically mention the host and port? Do we have destination kind of stuff here?
No, here you have to have that many data sphere terms, right? So you will have, you want to connect all of them, then you will create separate.
No. See, even DataSphere will have dev, test, and production tenants. Same way, the source system which we are connecting is also having different systems. But we do in DataSphere development, and then which will either I don't know how we move it in DataSphere in cloud, because in normal in BW traditional way we normally transport.
Okay, you were saying the data source switching, right? So
Yeah,
here,
after the transport, how to switch the connection? I think he's asking that.
Yeah. So here it's not like that. You will not switch like that. So we'll see that. We'll see that aspect, and yeah, I can show an example of that. But yeah, it's not similar to BW, so that it is easier. Even in SAC, it's easier. Here we don't have that connection switcher and all. Only thing is you have to maintain the same connection name and in all the systems, and then there are few aspects of the transport. So we'll cover that in a separate session. So we have a session on transportation. So just
transportation is fine, but the URL will change. Northwind, suppose Northwind have three different servers.
It will change.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's what. Yeah,
it will change, and the only thing is we have to have the same technical name across
correct,
servers.
Correct. Only URL or the host and port that will change.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So you are not asking us; you are sharing them. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, I am asking the see. If you see the URL and all, URL will differ, right? So, can we do this in each and every system with the same Northwind name, or we do transport?
If you want your transported artifacts to work in your quality environment, then in quality also you will have Northwind. But in quality, maybe instead of service OData arg.dev, you might have .qa. right? So
Yeah.
we'll cover that. We'll talk about that separately in the transport session.
Okay. Okay. Because normal in BTP we maintain destination with same name in different tenants, so that we don't need to bother about which server it is connecting. The destination will take care of it in the respective tenant.
Here, I think they are working on something similar. They are working on a transport mechanism based on BTP, right? I don't know when it is getting released to DataSphere. So once it is available, we'll be using that same exact thing that you are telling, right? So the destination concept. But so far, it is not using that cloud transport management, that BTP's type of transport. So far, it is using the HANA dot package type of management. So it creates a HANA dot package, and then it uses a content network in the backend to transport it across the cloud. So it is different from what is in BTP, but they are trying to bring in the BTP kind of transport to all the cloud products, like all the SSE, DataSphere, everything. So once that is in, we'll have that. But yeah, we'll hold this question. Maybe we'll take a deeper look, because some of the people will not understand what transport itself is now. So then it will be very confusing for them.
Yeah, true. I mean, my worry is not about transport. My worry is how we can differentiate the URLs in each tenant. That is my question.
Okay. So now let's fix this error, which is the certification error, because without fixing that, if I go to my data builder and if I try to import one of the remote tables, right? So I can see the connection name. So if I go to the remote table, so you see here, unable to connect to remote source. And then it's giving me the error, unable to connect to remote source because of the SSL certificate validation error. So maybe if you see here, the error might look somewhat complicated, and they are also saying contact a SAP engineer to solve this. But if it is giving some connection related errors, it's better to go to the connection screen and then click the validate, because here in general the errors are much more cleaner, and then it gives suggestions also, and sometimes it gives some notes also where you can click and go to that note, etc. So here it is clearly telling remote table will not work because of this, and you have to upload the certificate. So let's see how to do that. Right? So we'll go to the config, and then here we'll go to security. So here we have SSL and TLS certificates. So I have already added the SAP related certificates. So I will show you how I got this. There is a SAP note where it lists all the common certificates. So I'll show you how to do that in the next session. I don't have the link with me. So there is a link. If you go there, list all the SAP related certificates. We can get from there and upload here. So similar way, like you are connecting to AWS, you are connecting to Azure, you are connecting to Google Cloud, or you are connecting to anything that uses a HTTPS, then that certificate should be present in DataSphere, or else it will not trust the DataSphere. Right. So now how do I get the certificate from this service? So one of the easiest way is, like, you can go to this certification symbol and then you can click, depending on your browser, there should be a way to click the lock symbol and then get the certificate. So when you come to this details, you can just say export, and I'll export it to my desktop, and that's it. So the certificate is exported. So here I can import the certificate. So I can go here in my desktop, odata.org, and just say, and then I have a new certificate now. Now if I go back to my connections and if I validate it, now you see it works. It says valid and it does not give any issues. So now I can go to data builder, and now if I try to get remote tables from this connection, I should be able to see all the tables. right? So if you see here, these are all the tables. So here it is listed customer, employees, order. So this Northwind is a popular, I think it's from Microsoft SQL Server. It is a popular practice SQL scenario where you have a standard tables, standard set of tables and relationship between them. So it's been there for some years now, 20, 30 years. It's a very popular thing, I guess. So you can search for Northwind ER diagram and you will understand what are the different tables that are involved here. So it is about a fictional business and their orders table. And that order table is connected to different things like customers, employees, and shippers. So customers place the orders through employees and they ship via shippers, and then that has further information like orders will have order details, and in order details you'll have product will have suppliers, and same way employees will have territories, and customers will have customer, again they will have demographics, etc. So it's all these tables are available in Datasphere. So you have learned about tables, views, ER diagram, and everything, right? So far we were using only local tables. You can do the same things with remote tables also. So for example, let me get the orders table. I can get multiple tables in one go. So maybe I can choose order details, employees, etc. and then say next. So if I'm selecting multiple things and if some are already in the system, it will say already in the repository. But all these we are importing first time. So everything will be imported. If you don't want some table, you can just click the X and then it will just remove that. So when I say import and deploy, it will create remote tables, meaning it will bring in all the metadata of the table and it will create a name here, right? But it will not store any data in our Datasphere system, right? So it will be a remote table, which is like virtually accessing the data from the source. But when we are using this in anything else, like a view or any upward thing, there will not be any major difference between a local table and a remote table. They look somewhat similar, and we can use it in the views and so on. Right. So import and deploy has happened. So it's deployed. So I'll close this. I can come here and see that. So these are the tables I imported: employees, order details, and orders. So if I go into one of the tables, so employees maybe. So you can see here, this is general and there is a section called remote, and this remote table is somewhat like a view, right? Because it does not store any data, and that comes up with the same type of challenges. But here, I can ask you a tricky question. I mean, here it doesn't save the data, so there is a performance problem, and whenever you have performance problem, you can persist the data. That all concept is same. So how we will persist a view here, remote table also, you can start a replication and you can schedule it to keep it updated and everything. But I'll ask a tricky question here. Let's see who can answer it. So in a graphical view, the performance challenges in graphical view or SQL view, the performance challenges can be of a different reason compared to the performance challenges in a remote table. Can you tell like what is more likely the performance challenge in a remote table and what is more likely a performance challenge in a view?
Remote in the sense like you are connecting to some remote system to retrieve the data, right?
Yes.
So in that case, connection issues will occur, and if it is used data, so
Yes.
the transfer also should be faster, and we might need higher bandwidth for that.
Yes, exactly. So you got the crux of it. So in the remote table, the performance challenges are related to network. So all you said is right. So the source should be available. All that is right. But sometimes even it depends on the customer who is facing the challenge, right? So I may be on a high frequency, high bandwidth network, or I may be sitting close to that server. So I have a very fast connection. But for a customer, he will be complaining that always when I open this, it's slow. So here in the remote table, the aspect is the network. When you say network, there can be different components like the source system can be slow, the source system can be down, the source data center and the customer's physical location can be very distant. The customer can be in a bad network, they can be in a slow connection, or a group of customers are located in a very remote location. Major customers are in Europe, but one set of customers are sitting somewhere in Australia or something like that. So these type of network related challenges will be there in remote table, and for that reason we might have to persist the data, because then the data will be within Datasphere. It doesn't have to get the data from the remote source, etc. Whereas in a view, it might not. It could also be a network related challenge, because if the view is built on remote table, then yeah, it can translate to the view. But in general, the performance challenge is mostly due to complexity or due to the overload of calculations and so on, right? For that reason, we will materialize a view. Whereas in the remote table, it's mostly the network reasons, right? So if it is a network reason, you cannot do much to optimize it, right? Sometimes you cannot go and say customer that you have to buy a better internet, or you have to come from Australia and sit in Europe, things like that, right? So if it is at least some source system problem, yeah, you can work with the source system team and see if that can be improved. But mostly in remote tables, if you are having performance problems, yeah, the only option will be to persist. Whereas in views, sometimes you can optimize the view, you can write better SQL, you can reduce, you can follow some best practices and so on, and you can get the performance back. So that's the one aspect I wanted to highlight. Yeah, with that, I think, yeah, we are already over time today. So any questions?
So it is possible that I should schedule a view which is based on a remote table, and I can persist that view, so data can be scheduled in that way.
Yes, you can do that. So you do if you want to avoid the redundancy, you can just schedule the view based on the remote table, and you don't have to persist the table itself. You don't have to schedule the remote table and also the view, etc. So it depends on the layer of data you are storing. And if you decide, yeah, I already have a view on top of this table, and at the view level I am persisting anyway, then that should also work. Yes.
So from my point is that for example, table contains multiple thousand of records, and in view I'm restricting the record of 100, maybe 100 and 200 record. So my space will also be used in that way. So it is better to persist the view as compared to remote table in that.
No, in that aspects, here you can apply filters. So yeah, if that is your only constraint, then you can filter before you are persisting. That should be handled. But one good thing is, say in a remote table, you are doing a lot of calculations and so on in the view, and then you want to persist it after the calculations, then yes.
Yes. Got it. Thank you.
Okay then, yeah. Thank you everyone.
Hi Ram,
Okay,
one question.
Thank
Yeah,
you,
yeah,
Ram.
yeah.
Thank
Yeah, any questions? Yeah.
Yeah, I got access to this week only. Can you check my user and it has whether all the required accesses? Rajesh,
Okay, Rajesh, sure. Yeah. Let me check.
I think DW admin should be.
I think you have all the access, because I saw you have created the space already. So
Yeah, I created from Mentor School, open, not from this. So whether it is.
yeah, you have all the access that is required. Yeah.
Okay.
Or I'll do one thing. I'll just copy, Pratap's access and then put it on you.
Hmm.
Okay.
So Ram,
Yeah.
is there any guidance or something from SAP where they say, okay, if these like when you should use remote table and when you should persist it, like because sometimes they say like if the record is very high, then you should not use remote tables. But
Yeah, we'll see the performance guidance. There is a best practices document, but yeah, I mean, again, they will say, so one generic theme that they say is, anything that you don't want, you try to filter it at the entry level itself. So if you don't want certain records, you are only working with North America data, then you put a filter saying North America. That way, even if you are not persisting or persisting the remote table, the data that is transferred over the network itself will reduce. So irrespective of your accessing it live or persisted, it's good. right? So that's one aspect that they put it in all their products in best practices, and that makes sense also. It's common sense to have filters wherever possible at the uh, very first layer itself, so that in all the other layers it doesn't take the unnecessary data. That's one common theme. But yeah, again, there are a lot of points to discuss, and we have a 35 minute session on the various performance best practices. But generally, yeah, the SAP answer is mostly guidelines only. But then again, it depends on your project situation. Sometimes you have very big financial tables. Even though if you have a million records, the customer will say that, yeah, I want it to be as fast as possible. Or sometimes you have to sit with the customer and then discuss, okay, so maybe we should create two remote tables, one with filter for the current year and one with filter for all the previous years, and let's persist only the current year because that is the one you are using every day.
Yeah,
Maybe
kind of like hot and
like-
cold concept you have to bring in, like what
correct.
data
You
to
have to
synchronize.
design the performance aspects with the customer's business in mind. So that way, yeah, I mean, they give general guidelines, but with that, you have to modify it for your project.
No, actually, the reason I asked this is because if you see their selling slides, they will say, "Oh, you don't have to bring anything. It's all remote. You can do this." But when you go to project, then the moment you do remote, yeah, your SEC is like sitting there. It's keep refreshing for an hour, and then they say, "Okay, now you persisted." So now they go back on their own promise. So
So two different teams, right? One is a sales team,
yeah,
the
yeah, I
other
know,
is
I
the
know, I
support
know.
team.
Uh,
Yeah.
I was ex-SAP, so I know how they do.
Okay. Yeah. Okay then. Yeah. Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.